My boyfriend's new obsession is ruining our relationship. What should I do? I, 24F, have been dating my boyfriend 26M for almost 3 years now. Up until a few months ago, things were great. We have a comfortable apartment together, similar interests, and a shared friend group. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but we had a solid foundation, and I always felt like we were on the same page. He was attentive, sweet, and we had plans for the future. But now, everything's changed. It started around 5 months ago. He picked up a new hobby, something that seemed innocent enough at first. It was a niche board game, not your typical one you play at family gatherings, but a super complex, strategy-based game with hundreds of miniatures that you paint yourself. He said it was a way to relax after work, and I was all for it. Everyone needs a way to unwind, right? I didn't see any red flags back then. The first month was fine. He'd spend a couple of hours a week reading rulebooks, buying a few models here and there, and painting them while watching TV. It was almost cute how into it he was. I'd tease him about becoming a board game nerd, and he'd laugh it off. But things escalated quickly, way quicker than I ever expected. By month 2, he had stopped doing anything else. He started bailing on our movie nights, claiming he had to finish painting his army or perfect a new strategy. He'd wake up early to read forums and watch YouTube videos about the game. Our weekends, which used to be spent going out with friends or exploring new cafes, were suddenly reserved for marathon gaming sessions with strangers he met online. I went from being his #1 priority to feeling like a background character in his life. I thought it was just a phase, something that would blow over. I mean, we all have those moments where we get obsessed with something new. But by month 3, it wasn't just about his time anymore. It was about our money. He started spending hundreds of dollars on new expansions, rare miniatures, and special paint sets. I didn't think much of it until I noticed our shared bank account was suddenly lower than usual. I brought it up, and he said it was no big deal, just a couple of purchases he forgot to mention. I was upset, but I let it slide. I told him that if he wanted to keep buying stuff, he needed to use his personal account, not the one we shared for groceries, bills, and emergencies. He agreed, and I felt like we had come to an understanding. But it didn't stop there. Month 4 was the tipping point. He took a day off work to attend a tournament in a different city. He didn't even ask me if I was okay with him going, just said he had to go because he'd spent so much time preparing. I tried to be supportive. I really did. I figured if he was putting in this much effort, maybe it was important to him. But when he got back, he was a different person. He talked nonstop about the tournament and how amazing it felt to compete. He spent the entire ride home explaining every move, every mistake, every moment in such excruciating detail that I zoned out halfway through. When I told him I was happy he had fun but that we should set aside some time for each other, he brushed it off, saying I just didn't understand. From then on, it was like living with a stranger. He was always distracted, always thinking about the game. He stopped initiating conversations unless they were about his latest strategies or a new model he was excited to buy. The final straw was when he suggested we cancel our anniversary dinner because he wanted to host a game night for his new friends instead. I was furious, and for the first time in our relationship, I snapped at him. We had a huge fight. I told him that he was being selfish, that he was neglecting me and our relationship for a board game. He got defensive, saying I was overreacting and that I should be happy he had a passion. He said I should try to be supportive and that his hobby wasn't hurting anyone. But it was hurting me, and I told him that. I said I felt like I was slowly being replaced by plastic miniatures and dice. He didn't respond. He just looked at me like I was speaking a different language. I thought things might get better after that fight. Sometimes it takes an argument to open someone's eyes, right? But if anything, he just became more distant. He'd retreat to his hobby room, which used to be our shared office, and only come out to eat or sleep. I felt like I was living with a roommate, not a partner. The physical affection faded, and we went from sharing our days to barely saying goodnight. We've reached month 5 now, and I don't know what to do. I love him, or at least I love the person he used to be. But I feel so lonely. I tried suggesting couples counseling, and he laughed, saying we didn't have real problems and that I was blowing everything out of proportion. I even tried getting involved in his hobby, learning the basics of the game, painting a miniature or two, but it didn't make a difference. He barely noticed my efforts. It's like he's addicted, and nothing I do or say is enough to pull him back to reality. Our friends have noticed the change too. They keep asking why he never hangs out anymore, why he's always busy. I don't know what to tell them because I don't even know how to explain it to myself. It's a board game, for crying out loud. How did it end up taking over our entire lives? I'm at a crossroads. Do I wait it out and hope he snaps out of it? Do I give him an ultimatum, knowing it might push him away? Or do I just leave? I've never felt so confused and hurt. I don't want to throw away 3 years of memories and plans, but I also can't keep living like this. I miss the person he used to be, and I don't know if that person is ever coming back. For now, I'm sleeping on the couch most nights, wondering if this is the end of us, or just a rough patch we'll eventually get through. I wish I had the answers, but right now, all I have are more questions and a boyfriend who's completely lost in a world of painted miniatures and dice rolls.